back to OT Sports. Today we got our Week 14 College Football Top 25. Rivalry Week is all over. Now we move into Conference Championship Week. Before we get started, I just want to say, if you're new around here, make sure you subscribe to the channel. We do college basketball every Monday, college football every Tuesday, NFL every Wednesday, and NBA every Thursday. So make sure you subscribe. We got loads of content around here this time of year, so make sure you subscribe. Turn on the notifications to make sure you don't miss out on any of our videos. Real quick, I'm gonna be making my conference. Well, I have my top 25 ready. Just real quick, I'm gonna say a couple conference championship games that don't feature any ranked teams, since I won't be able to pick them. So the first one is the MAC championship. Miami, Ohio, who is 10-2, versus Toledo, who's 11-1. I'm gonna take Toledo. They're a 7.5-point favorite. I've heard a lot of good things. Toledo's ranked in the AP poll. I'll take them. Boise State 7-5 versus UNLV 9-3. I'm gonna take UNLV. UNLV played Michigan earlier. I know they lost pretty bad, but they did play them. I don't know. I like UNLV. They beat Air Force and Wyoming, who are both pretty good group of 5 teams this year. So I'm going to take UNLV. Boise State is favored by 2. I'm still going to go with UNLV. And then for the Sun Belt, App State versus Troy. App State, I think they might have, they beat James Madison in overtime. So that's pretty good. But Troy is 10-2. They're favored by 6.5. I'm actually going to go with App State. I don't know. I feel like they always win the games they're not supposed to win. They're kind of the upset team. They're kind of the famous upset team for them upsetting Michigan back in the day. Earlier in the season, they took North Carolina to double overtime. I'm going to take App State. All right, that's enough of those those other conference championship games. Now let's just go right into the final top 25 before the selection committee gives us the final one this Sunday. Number 25, I got SMU making it in here. They're a very good team. I think they potentially are the best group of 5 team. They're right there with teams like Liberty, Tulane, James Madison. They're a really good team. The metrics and the stats really like SMU. They're just a really good team. They got a pretty, they got like a bunch of guys running the ball that just have been splitting pretty much all season, and they've been doing really good. They have about 4 guys who have been getting most of the work, and that's kind of interesting to see. They spread the touchdowns around, and same with receiving. They just got a lot of guys. They're a very deep team. They've played 4 quarterbacks this season too. Their main guy is Preston Stone. Yeah, SMU is a very good team. I really like them. I've liked them since the start of the year. Their only losses have come close to Oklahoma and a loss to TCU. But besides that, they've beaten everyone they've played pretty bad. Their offense is really good. They go into this game against Tulane. They are 4-point underdogs, but Tulane's more of a defensive team this year, which is weird. They're usually, when you think of Tulane, I don't really think defense. But no, the offense for Tulane hasn't really been their strength. It's been the defense and the run game. I just don't think Tulane's offense will be able to score enough points. I think SMU is gonna I think Tulane will be able to get some stops, but I don't think Tulane's offense will be able to score enough. SMU has a pretty decent defense too. I'm gonna take SMU 27-21. Number 24, Kansas State, moving down 5 spots. They lose to Iowa State. And they pretty much outgained them in like every statistical category. I don't think there was a single one. The Iowa State just had the big plays. That was their which is weird. This was so high scoring for a snow game. I mean, Iowa State had 18 minutes of possession. Kansas State had 42, and I mean, it was a great game if you watched it. It was a back and forth game. Iowa State ended up coming out on top, and Iowa State's had a very kind of um, sneaky good year. I mean, they finished the year 7-5, 6-3 in the Big 12. I don't know. They had a very nice year. But yeah, the big plays for for Iowa State really just led them. I mean, they had a 71-yard run, a 77-yard run, 79-yard pass, 60-yard run, 33-yard pass, 82-yard pass for all of their scores. So Kansas State didn't even play a bad game. They just gave up all the big plays. They did end up losing. I still keep them in the top 25. I think they're one of the 25 best teams in the country. I think that's fair to say. No game this week for them. They had a great season, great year. Good for Kansas State to be able to have, they won the Big 12 last year, but to be able to come back losing a lot of guys and have a great year is pretty impressive. Clemson, on the other hand, at number 23, they move up 2 spots. Kind of a disappointing year for Clemson. I thought this was going to be a bounce back year for them. They finished 8-4. Yeah, not what you would like to see from them. You'd like to see them make the playoffs or at least win the ACC. They were ranked in the top 10 preseason. They do sneak in to the top 25 to end the year again. Hopefully they can figure it out next year because that's just 2 back-to-back years for Clemson. They got to start utilizing the transfer portal. But in last week's game, they win an ugly one against South Carolina. Not much to be said about that one. Number 22, I got Libertyville. Kind of just staying where they were at. They took down UTEP. Good for them. UTEP had a lot of late scores. It was more of a blowout than the box score shows. They got an upcoming game against New Mexico State. This is going to be an interesting one. New Mexico State, 10-3. They're a very good team. They just beat Auburn on the road. Auburn just gave Alabama. They just took Alabama down to the final play at home, and Auburn lost to New Mexico State at home. So New Mexico State is not a bad team. I just think Liberty's offense is going to be able to get it done for them. I don't think New Mexico State has what it takes to keep up and get the stops needed. I think Liberty's a better team. Liberty's 12-0. I'm going to take them here. They're favored by 10 points. I think that's a little bit high, but I do like Liberty to win. Number 21, Tulane, moving down 1 spot. It's not really that they did anything wrong. It just kind of had to happen this way. They beat UTSA. That was a good win. UTSA is a pretty good team. To clinch their spot in the American Championship game. I did already talk about this, though. I think they're going to lose. I don't think they'll be able to score enough. I think the defense can get some stops, but I really like SMU. I think they're a very underrated and good team. Number 20, NC State, moving up 6 spots. I said it last week. I was considering ranking NC State last week. I ultimately didn't. I probably should have, but now I have them at number 20. They're a very good team, 9-3. Very good season. I really like their coach. I don't know what his name is. I forget it all the time. But yeah, that's like, I don't know the exact stat, but I think it's 7 out of the last 8 years they've been to a bowl game, something like that. Yeah, very, very good for NC State. They finished number 20 in my rankings. They beat North Carolina at home. They dominated them. They looked really good in this game. I said it last week. Whoever won this game would be ranked next week, and NC State ended up winning, so they ended up ranked. Yeah, looked very good. I really liked what I saw in that game. It was really the only NC State game I've watched all year, besides when they played Notre Dame earlier in the year. But yeah, they looked very impressive. I really like this NC State team. I got them at number 20. Number 19, I got Oregon State moving down 5 spots. They get blown out by Oregon on the road. I thought they would be able to keep it closer. I thought the matchup could favor them a little bit, but I don't know about favor them, but I thought the matchup, just looking at the matchup, I thought they could keep it close. I didn't think they would win. It was on the road though. Oregon's a very good team. They're number 5 in the uh, college football playoff committee's rankings. We'll get to where they are in mine in a little bit. But yeah, Oregon State 4 losses, 8-4. You would like to see, you'd like to see them do a little better. Um, they lost to Washington State earlier in the year. That shouldn't have happened. So one bad loss. The other three to Washington, Oregon, and Arizona, all teams that are very good, top 15 teams. So, um, pretty good season for Oregon State. I thought they might be able to do maybe a 9-3 season, but 8-4 in this Pac-12 this year. It's pretty good. The Pac-12 had a pretty solid year this year, and yeah, Oregon State finished the season 8-4. They will get into a very good bowl game. Number 18, Oklahoma State. Now this is where we get into the big things, the important things. Believe this is the first Power 5 championship game we're predicting. So yeah, real quick, Oklahoma State at number 18, they move up 3 spots. They barely hold on to beat BYU in the overtime. They had a late comeback, second half comeback. They were down 24-6 going into half. I thought they were about to lose, and I thought Oklahoma was going to have to play Texas, and I was very excited about that because I think Oklahoma had a lot better of a shot to beat Texas. And being an Ohio State fan, I really need Texas to lose. I was very excited. I thought Oklahoma would get to play them again, but Oklahoma State did come back and win. And so Texas will take on Oklahoma State in the Big 12 championship. And for this game, I just don't really like this matchup for Oklahoma State. I just can't, I'm trying to, see it in my head, manifest it, whatever, but I just can't see them beating Texas. I really do think Texas is just a lot better of a team than they are. Maybe Ollie Gordon gets loose and just steals the game for them. But I don't know. I don't see Texas allowing that to happen. And I don't really know how good Oklahoma State's defense will do against a team like Texas. So I got to go Texas. I'm going to go 34-24. But I'm really rooting for Oklahoma State in this game because I want to see Ohio State in the playoffs. Ultimately, I just don't think it's going to be able to happen. I'm going to take Texas 34-24. Number 17, Iowa, moving up 1 spot. They barely beat Nebraska. Nebraska's final drive of the game with 40 seconds left. Iowa picks him off, gets into field goal range, kicks the game-winning field goal. This was a very good game if you watched it, which is weird, but it was a great game. Big Ten West battle. Nebraska was fighting for bowl eligibility. I did pick Nebraska in this one. I thought they were going to be able to do it. They almost did. They were just a drive away. Iowa's defense again gets them to a win. The over/under for this game was like 24.5, which I think is the lowest in college football history, and it hit the under, which is ridiculous. Now they play Michigan. I think this could get a little bit interesting. I think people are skipping over this game a little too much. Now ultimately I think Michigan's going to win. But if Iowa can really get Michigan out of rhythm, I guess you could say, I think they could give them some struggles. I just don't see Iowa's offense being able to get the amount of points they're going to need to beat Michigan. They're probably going to need about 30 points. I don't think they can get there. I'm going to go 27-10. I do think J.J. McCarthy, or the Iowa defense, may be able to force McCarthy into some turnovers, but I can't trust the offense. The Iowa offense is just really atrociously bad. I gotta go Michigan. I can't see Iowa scoring enough to take them down. Maybe if they get some defensive touchdowns, but there's a lot of pressure on the Iowa defense in this game. I just don't think they'll be able to score two defensive touchdowns, and they might not even be able to score an offensive touchdown. So I'm going to go Michigan 27-10. Number 16, Notre Dame moving up one spot. They dominate Stanford. Not much to say here. They went 9-3 this year. Um, a little bit of a disappointing year, but still a pretty good year. They lose on the last second touchdown to Ohio State. They also lose to Clemson and Louisville. Um, all ranked teams. When you look at their resume, they actually don't really have a good win. Um, I guess on the road, NC State is a good win now, but USC and Duke have really fallen off a cliff. Those were good wins at the time. So their best win is probably NC State. So how good is Notre Dame? I don't really know. They did keep Ohio State. I mean, they took them down to the last 3 seconds, so that's pretty impressive. But yeah, they dominate Stanford on the road. I thought Stanford might be able to stick around in the first half. They kind of did. It was 28-16 at halftime, but yeah, Notre Dame really put it on them in the second half like I expected. Number 15, Arizona moving up one. They dominate Arizona State. And I'm just going to say I apologize to Arizona. I don't know why I picked Arizona State. I just thought something was brewing. I was wrong. Arizona State up 38-7 at half, and it was just never a game after that. They really just dominated, and they proved to me at least that they are top 15 in the country, or top 15 team in the country, and a top 3 team in the conference. So yeah, great season for Arizona. Did not expect them to finish 9-3. They will be getting into a very good bowl game. New Year's Six Bowl, I don't know about that, but still a very good bowl game. So good for them. Number 14, LSU. Jaden Daniels is looking like he's going to win the Heisman. If they didn't win this game, he probably would not. But 9-3, still a very solid year. Only losses coming to Florida State, Bama, and Ole Miss. All teams, top 11 teams. So, but yeah, Jaden Daniels is looking like he's winning the Heisman. Personally, I would give it. Well, depends on what we're saying. If it's just off who's the best player in the country, it's Marvin Harrison. But it is a quarterback award, so I would give it to Marvin Harrison. But if not him, I would go Bo Nix and then probably Jaden Daniels. So yeah, that's where I stand on that. Um, but they looked pretty good against Texas A&M. Um, yeah, they won by 42-30. Um, they'll get into a good bowl game at least. So I mean, a little bit of a disappointing year. I think I had them number 4 in my first top 25, so that's a little unfortunate, but I still got them number 14. Number 13, Louisville moving down 4. They lose to Kentucky. Uh, I forgot who I picked, but I remember saying I might have picked Louisville. I don't remember. It it was one of the two. I could tell you that I picked one of the two to win. But yeah, no, I don't remember. I remember this game was really hard to decide. Kentucky did end up winning. Good for them. Louisville falls to 2 losses, officially eliminated from the playoffs if they weren't already. Um, yeah, their only losses coming to Pitt and Kentucky. 2 not great losses, but they have some pretty good wins over Notre Dame. Is one. I forget who else they've played, but now they go to, I believe it's in North Carolina, to play Florida State. Now, this is a very important game for the playoffs because if Florida State wins, they're in. If Florida State loses, it's going to be very hard for them to get in with even with one loss just because they don't have the best resume. They do have the LSU win, but that's really it if you look at it. I guess Clemson is an alright win now. But yeah, with one loss, no conference champion, it would be hard for Florida State to get in with how loaded the rest of the teams around them are and their resumes. They didn't look good. Florida State, that is last week. They were in a tightly contested game against a 5-7 Florida team. They don't look very good. I'm worried for them in this game. I'm gonna take Louisville. It's hard to take them because they just lost, but Kentucky's not a bad team. 7-5 in the SEC, and I don't know. I'm gonna take Louisville. I just didn't like at all what I saw from Florida State. Louisville still put up 31. I think Louisville's gonna win 24-17 and steal and eliminate Florida State's playoff hopes. Oklahoma in a classic Big 12 game, no defense, all offense. They win 69-45. The over for sure hit in this one. I mean, 114 points were scored, which is ridiculous. Do they make a New Year's Six Bowl? I don't know. They're number 12 right now, so technically they shouldn't because the group of five team to make a New Year's Six Bowl will be that 12th spot. So technically they shouldn't. But I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I don't know if they make one. I don't know. I think they, you know what, they might over Ole Miss, but I don't know. I couldn't tell you. So I guess they gotta hope for a team like who's on the edge that would fall behind them that's playing. I mean, the next highest is probably Bama, so they probably won't get in, but there's still a chance. Obviously, it is Oklahoma. Number 11, moving up one spot is Ole Miss. They beat Mississippi State. I predicted Mississippi State to win in a much higher scoring game. I was not expecting it to be this low scoring. It was a very good game if you like defense. It was a very close game. Ole Miss did come out on top, 10-2. Very good season for them. Only losses coming to Alabama and Georgia. I mean, maybe third best team in the SEC. The LSU, they did beat LSU, so I guess, but Missouri is ahead of them in my rankings. You know, they had a very good year, 10-2. Lane Kiffin, very impressive season. They should be in a New Year's Six Bowl. Number 10, Missouri moving up one. They dominate Arkansas. This was not even a game at all. I thought this one would be a lot closer than it was. Yeah, ultimately, Missouri was just the way better team. They end up winning here 48-14. Very impressive year for them, finishing 10-2. Was not expecting this at all. I don't think anyone was. Yeah, very good year. Really like this team. They played a close game with Georgia, and yeah, they finished 10-2. So very good year for them. Number 9, Penn State moving up one. They dominated Michigan State last week. They win 42-0. Yeah, Michigan State's not a very good team, so it's not overly impressive. It wasn't on the road, I guess, but Penn State 10-2 once again. Only losses coming to Michigan and Ohio State. Is next year the year where they get over the hump? I don't know. They're bringing back a lot of guys next year. I think it could be possible, but as of right now, I'm not gonna, make my predictions for next season just yet. They should get in the New Year's Six Bowl still, though. So I mean, I guess you could say disappointing year for Penn State. A lot of their fans thought this was the year they would beat one of the two. They come short again and finish 10-2 again. So I guess you could say a little disappointing, but they're still number 9 in my rankings here. All right, this is where we get into the playoff teams. So spend a little more time on these. Alabama with a miracle win over Auburn. They won on a 4th and goal from the 31-yard line. Jalen Milroe sends it into the end zone, and they come down with it and win the game. Crazy ending to the Iron Bowl. They're calling it the Nightmare in Jordan Hare. Or the Jalen Mill throw. whatever name you want to call it. It was a great game. I was not even at home during this game. I didn't think it would be this close. I kept checking the score during the game, and it was Auburn just kept sticking around, and there's a little bit. I mean, most of the fourth quarter, I thought Auburn was going to win. I thought Auburn was going to win. Well, that's not true. I thought Alabama was going to win when they got to first and goal. Then you get the bad snap. Then you get the illegal forward pass. Milrose over the line of scrimmage. They get all the way back to 31 on fourth down, and they somehow survive. So they're 11-1, and they're in prime position to make the playoffs. I think with a win against Georgia, they would be in. Worst case scenario for Alabama is, well, saying if they win, is Michigan wins, Oregon wins. Actually, not Oregon. I'll say, because they would probably pass Oregon. If Washington wins, Michigan wins, those would be 1 and 2. Florida State wins, they're undefeated champ. You can't leave them out. They're at 3. Then you have Texas or Alabama. Texas beat them if Texas wins. So I think Alabama. I mean, you can't leave a one-loss SEC champ out, though, can you? So maybe they leave Florida State out in that scenario. This would be even more interesting if Oregon beats Washington. Then Oregon would have one loss, but they avenged their loss. Conference champion with a top 5 win, top 3 win. And I mean, they've been ahead of Alabama for the entirety of the college football playoff rankings. I don't think you could leave Oregon out either. So Alabama's going to need one of the teams in front of them to lose. If Texas were to lose and Alabama were to win, that would be huge for them. They would get in that scenario. But for the prediction, I do think Georgia wins. I don't know. I like Alabama's defense. I really do like Georgia's offense, though. I think this game will be kind of similar to the Auburn game, but I think a little bit more scoring. I think Georgia's just going to... They're just not going to lay down and let Alabama beat them. I just can't really see it. Georgia's been the best team this year, and I don't know. I think Georgia wins the SEC again for the 3rd year in a row. I don't know. I just can't see Alabama coming out with this one. Well, I guess I could see it, but I'm just not really too confident in it. Georgia's has been a great team all year. It's hard to pick against them. They haven't won in however long it is, a couple years. It's in Georgia too. I mean, that's huge. I know Alabama's right there. They're gonna have fans at the game, obviously. I just think, I don't know. Alabama didn't look great against Auburn. Now I know it's on the road. It's a rivalry game, so you can't really fault them. I mean, this is one of the biggest rivalry games in the sport, and it was on the road. I'm not blaming them there. They were one play away from losing, so it is a little bit hard to pick them. Auburn is a team who lost to New Mexico State last week. So, I don't know. I do like Alabama's defense, but I like Georgia's offense more. I think they are going to score more times than they get stopped. And yeah, I think Georgia comes out on top again. I just have a hard time seeing Alabama win this one. I don't know. This one's a tough one. I gotta go Georgia though. Number 7, Texas. This is one of those teams where if they win, they're in. The results will. I mean, the teams will play out. Oregon or Washington, whoever wins will be in. And then for Texas, one of those teams is going to lose. Texas will jump them. And if they win, they'll get in over a one-loss Ohio State because they'll have the conference championship win and the better win. They'll get in over Ohio State, and Texas will be in. Now, if Alabama were to beat Georgia, that would make it a little bit tougher for Texas. They do have the win over Alabama, but with Alabama being a one-loss SEC champ, it might be hard to keep Texas in. You'd also have a one-loss Georgia there. So I think Georgia beating Alabama would help, but I do think they'd still get in, even if Alabama were to win. Texas needs to win this one. I think they will. I got 34-24. They are kind of known for not getting it done when it matters, but I do think they do this time. This team is just too talented for a huge letdown, and I don't think Oklahoma State is particularly a crazy good team. Oregon at number 6. I didn't move them. This might be a shock. They were moved up 1 in the playoff rankings. But, I mean, they're going to get in if they win. Whoever wins, them or Washington, will be in the playoffs. So, it's not, I don't think it's that big of a deal, me putting them at 6. As of right now, I think they're the 6th best team. Actually, I'll take that back. I think they're the 5th best team right now. Because I think Florida State is probably the 8th best team. Well, they might be lower because they did not look good against Florida. We'll get to them in a little bit, but yeah, Oregon, they're going to have an opportunity to avenge their one loss and win the Pac-12. This is going to be a great game, part 2 of this game. Washington won the first one. Oregon went for it on a 4th down to end the game. They ultimately didn't get it. Washington got the ball in the 50 and went down and won the game. It was in Husky Stadium. This one's going to be in Vegas, neutral site game. It's a little bit closer to Oregon. Maybe that helps them out a little. Ultimately, I do think Oregon's the better team. I think this one will be a little bit less scoring, but kind of a similar type game. I just think Oregon's going to come out on top this time. I think they're the more complete team. Both these teams have top-tier offenses, but I think Oregon's defense is a lot better than Washington's is. Do you think Washington and Penix and Rome Odunze will keep it very close, but Oregon, they got a bunch of guys too. I mean, Troy Franklin, Bo Nix, Bucky Irving. I mean, they got all the guys. I forgot to mention they just dominated Oregon State, a team who Washington beat by 2 points. I think Oregon, at this point in the year, is just better than Washington. And this one's going to be at a neutral site game, not on the road. I think Oregon will avenge. It's hard to beat a team twice, especially this good. I'm going to go Oregon, 34-31. Ohio State I have moving down 3 spots. They lose the game for the 3rd year in a row. It's unfortunate. When you look at the game, though, I mean, Ohio State loses by 6. They had a bunch of big mistakes in that game, and I think without... I mean, they really had 4 that I can think of. The early interception by McCord was a huge mistake. Throwing it in breaking route to Marvin Harrison covered by Will Johnson is just not... I mean, it is Marvin Harrison, but it's just not a good idea. Will Johnson had the safety help over the top. He jumped the route and picked it off, took Michigan to the 7. Michigan scored a touchdown, obviously. They only had to get 7 yards. That was the first mistake. The second mistake was how they handled the... Actually, that wasn't the second mistake. The second mistake wasn't really their mistake. I think the refs made a crucial mistake in this game, letting the Michigan touchdown to put them up 14-3, letting that be ruled as a touchdown, when in my opinion that was an interception. You got to catch the ball through the ground, and the receiver did not do that. I know he might have been in the end zone. It was pretty close, but he didn't have control of the ball either. You can watch it. He was bobbling the entire time. If you watch it from the back angle, both of those players facing away with the back of their jerseys showing. If you watch it from that camera angle, You can see, I mean, if you watch from the front, he's bobbling it for a little, and then it looks like he kind of gets control, well, more control than he had before the defender takes it out of his hands. And you watch the back angle, he's bobbling it the entire time. The defender comes in and takes the ball. Should have been an interception. They did call it on the field as a touchdown, so there's that argument, but I mean, that's got to be an interception. He didn't catch it through the ground. He was bobbling it the whole time. Ohio State. That would have changed the game. It only would have been 7-3. Ohio State would have had the ball, all of the momentum. So that call doesn't go their way. Then the way we handled finishing the second half, I didn't think was great. We got the ball with a minute left. I think we very well could have scored a touchdown. Ryan Day plays it safe once again, and it fails him once again. He runs the ball a couple times, gets it to 4th and 2, runs the clock out. The Michigan head coach ices the kicker, and he misses 52-yard field goal. He wasn't even in field goal range. Not a great idea, but yet again. And then the fourth mistake, the final mistake, obviously, we were driving down the field, and McCord throws the game-losing interception. Um, you know, it's crazy to say. I mean, Michigan was leading the whole game. I think Ohio State was the better team in the game, if I'm being honest. Part of the reason Michigan was also at home, I think people are kind of skipping over that fact. That's a huge factor, especially in games like this. But maybe that's just because I'm biased. I don't know. I think Ohio State is one of the four best teams in the country. If I had to rank who I think the four best teams in the country are, I would go Georgia 1. Okay, I know. Okay, I know I made the top 25, but you gotta consider resume, record, eye test, all that stuff for these. If I'm just doing it off four best, I would go Georgia 1, Oregon 2, Ohio State 3, Michigan 4. I think Ohio State is the better team. You might be calling me biased. I know they just lost. It was on the road. They had a bunch of mistakes. I don't know. I'm probably just biased and I'm making up things to cope with the loss for the third year in a row, which does suck, but it is what it is. I think next year Ohio State will be able to win the game, but come up short for the third year in a row. Ryan Day is now 1-3 against Michigan, so there's that. Ohio State still has a very real shot to make the playoffs. They're going to need Florida State to lose. They're going to need Texas to lose. They're going to need Georgia to beat Bama, which I think all is in the realm of possibilities. The Texas losing part is the most, but I think Georgia will beat Bama. I think Louisville will beat FSU. We're just going to need that Texas loss to get us in the playoff, which I think is possible. Number 4, Florida State moving up 1. They did not look good against Florida. They did end up winning. I do think this is not supposed to be green. It's supposed to be red. It's my fault, but I think they're going to lose this game against Louisville. I don't know. They just did not look good. Tate Rodemaker just doesn't look like he's ready to play at all. Number 3, Washington moving up 1. I know they just lost. They just looked very bad. That they did win, and Ohio State losing. It's moving them up a little. They barely beat Washington State. I think it's a little worrisome. I think Oregon's just the better team in this game. I think they're going to lose. It's hard to beat a good team twice, especially this good. Both these offenses, I think, are very comparable, and I think Oregon's defense is a lot better than Washington. I think they just overall have the better team. It's not going to be in Washington this time. It's going to be on a neutral site. Oregon's favored by 9.5, which I think is a little crazy, but maybe they know something we don't. I think that's another thing that's really pushing me on Oregon for this game. Number 2, Michigan moving up 1. I didn't mean to discredit Michigan. They played a great game. I mean, they had huge plays. Talking about Ohio State's mistakes, those were huge plays for Michigan. Their defense and offense, I mean, their whole team played a very complete game. I think that was probably their best game of the year. Michigan, that is. most complete game of the year. The defense was there, the offense was there. Blake Corum got 2 touchdowns. McCarthy made some wild throws, risky, but they all worked out. Everything was clicking for Michigan. I think they will be able to take down Iowa. I'm not too worried about that. Maybe the defense gives them a little problems, but they just played against a very good Ohio State defense. I don't think it will be much different. Iowa's offense is nowhere near as good as Ohio State's. They are not going to be able to score enough to keep up with Michigan. And Georgia, staying at number 1, they survive on the road against Georgia Tech. Yeah, Georgia Tech was in the game. It was a little bit closer than the box score shows. Actually, I don't know if I'd say that, but Georgia was up 31-13 at one point in the third quarter. So Georgia Tech had some late scores, but it was very close. It was a very close first half. Georgia Tech made me see some flaws in Georgia. I know it's a rivalry game, but is it really though? Georgia's dominated this for a while now. But now they got the SEC championship game against Bama. Maybe they were looking ahead a little bit. I don't really know. I do think they're going to win. I don't know. I think they're just the better team. Um, I think Georgia's offense is better than Alabama's offense. I think Bama's defense is slightly better than Georgia's. I really like this Georgia offense this year. I got to go with them. They've been my number 1 team for a couple weeks now. I got to go with Georgia. I just think they're better. It's in Georgia. I know it's not a home game, but it's in Atlanta. I gotta go Georgia. They're the defending 2-time back-to-back national champions. They're looking for a three-peat. I think it's very possible. So yeah, that's gonna do it for the Week 14 Top 25. This is a little bit of a longer video, but we had a lot to cover. And yeah, I think that's all I got for you. If you enjoyed, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. Turn on the notification bell. We do college basketball every Mondays, college football every Tuesdays, NFL every Wednesdays, and NBA every Thursdays. If you're new around here, my Discord and X are linked in the description. You can join that. You can follow that. Whatever you like to do. And I will see you guys tomorrow with NFL picks. Yeah, should be a pretty fun video. Hope you guys enjoyed this one.